Welcome to Awakening, the podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Christian Strang, and today we have another special interview as part of our special interview series. In fact, if you've been listening to us for some time, you know that every year, annually, Awakening the podcast features some of the best healers, practitioners, awakened beings on the earth who are truly walking their talk and co-creating the next golden age. Today, I am so thrilled to bring to you Sara Sauer, such an incredible soul who is here on earth. She's a love territory guide and sacred spirituality coach. Her mission is to assist others in finding ways to be grateful for what is and who they are now, and to then more easily and gracefully make choices to be who they truly are by doing it, moving forward with crystal clear clarity, one step at a time, into their magnificent true self. For those who are called to her, she creates a sacred container for healing, for the highest outcome in healing and integration. Sara, we are so thrilled to have you with us and have your light here on the podcast today. Welcome.
I am so happy to be here. Thank you, Dr. Christian, for inviting me.
Absolutely. So let's get into it because in our series, in our interview series, we love to hear other awakening stories. So the whole premise of this podcast that Mary Magdalene and my spiritual team gave to me was we want to talk about awakening, not as a one-time event, because often we've been programmed to believe that awakening is like, oh, I had my spiritual awakening and now it's done. But that's not actually true. There are many stages of awakening that we go through when we're on this path. So we love sharing awakening stories to inspire those who are listening and also showcase that there are so many different ways that we can awaken more fully to our divinity, to who we truly are, and what we're doing here on earth at this time. So I love demonstrating this. I love being able to have these interviews so that we can all gain inspiration and clarification about what it looks like to live a spirit-led life, what it looks like to live an awakened path in the midst of an artificial matrix, which seeks to distract us and distort us, and also seeks to keep us from being able to fully self-actualize and become who we really are. So, Sara, I want to open it up to you. I'd love to hear whatever awakening story you wish to share with us today. And we're so excited to be able to hear it. So I'll turn it over to you.
Well, and it's so funny how you mentioned that we need to know there are multiple awakenings because that is my life. It started in 2019 when I said, I'm surrendered. I know there's something more. I don't know what it is, and I'm going to find it. So I think I went down every detour, every scenic route. Granted, I had the time of my life. I enjoyed so much traveling, and people would look at me like, you're always on vacation, because I would work on vacation. And yet I wasn't where I knew I needed to be, though I was still awakening more and more to who I truly was. So I could tell when I went places that lands were changing, water was changing, land was calling to me. I would hear the names of land before I traveled there. And then people would change too, just by, for example, I would go to a concert and I would go early intentionally because I knew the energy that I carry would help bring just this joy and this love that so many don't have yet stable in them yet. So going around and speaking with all the people that are serving, because when you start with the people that are serving and you love on them, it changes everything. And you could just tell that when you started going into the concerts, then there was just more joy around by building this atmosphere of love. And even that, when I would come home, I would go, this still isn't it. Because I didn't have I knew there was a purpose, a mission. So I kept asking, what is it? I'm, guide me, help me through this. And it wasn't until March, Dr. Christian, this date might ring a bell for you, because this is when I signed up for mentorship with you. And it started that at first, my body was like, we're just going to start with these classes. And this is going to do it. I don't need to have a mentor. I don't need to have sessions with someone. And yes, getting there. So I started the love territory classes, and I could just tell it connecting with the lands, the waters, blessing them. It was already happening through me, and it was starting to happen at another frequency, another energetic level, more and more love. And that I knew still wasn't enough. So then I signed up for the sacred spirituality classes. And again, those I could watch one a day. So that was huge. And I still realized that there were so many energies still around me in my energy field that I didn't understand at the time, that it took me signing up for the sessions. And seriously, when I signed up for the sessions and made that payment, I could feel the energy shift immediately. I'm not saying that everything was perfect from that moment on. It wasn't. I could just tell that I was being held. You, Dr. Christian, you having the purity of the body already with the way that you make sure and use the Purium products, the organics, and well as the mind purifying, the spiritual practices. I was really good on the spiritual practices. I had not started on the full body detox though. So once we started, it was that first session with you where you had mentioned, Purium, here's some details, you can watch this video. And I decided, if I said I was all in, so if I'm all in, okay, next step, here it is, signing up for Purium. And at the time, I was living in different Airbnb spaces because I had found a couple months earlier, I let go of my apartment because I knew that there was a relationship I had at the time I was living there that I could not seem to disconnect with that energy. So I knew, let go of that apartment. And so here I am, not as grounded because I'm living in Airbnbs, not realizing that, as you're doing this, living in Airbnbs, I was actually accumulating more of those energies that are like, keep flying. You don't need to ground anywhere. You don't need to have a home. You don't need to anchor anywhere. So I start the Purium, and yes, it's arriving at an Airbnb. I think the first 3 times it was 3 different locations. And it was amazing because it's hard to say which one, because I think it's all of it working together. It was you, Dr. Christian, providing, these are your practices, Sarah. And some of those I was told, I don't recall the first one. I think it was like a minimum 3 times a week and do this one once a day. And I was doing all of them every day. Because I just knew that at times I could not hear my sacred heart. Or I would get an answer and be, you know what? I know that is not my sacred heart. Yeah. I mean, like the night that I asked my sacred heart, I'm like, okay, I really want some chocolate. So sacred heart, yes to 1, yes to 2. Oh yeah, I got a yes to 3. Woohoo! Yeah, that I know. Anyway, you can always look back at it and laugh. So I choose to laugh. And, and to be like, okay, I need more. So it's doing those daily practices. And then by the end of week 3 with Purium, that's when you're done with the 1 week, or no, the 10 days. It's the 10 days of parasite cleanse.
Yeah.
Wow. I mean, so that by the end of 3 weeks into Purium, doing my daily practices in the mentorship, as well as my spiritual practices, of daily meditations, prayers, and blessings. It just all started to move a lot quicker. So once I had those 3 weeks of Purium in, then it seemed I was starting to call the people towards me that I needed a little help. I had all of these energies around me, and at that point, someone just appeared in one of the places I was in who had this Sacred Heart necklace that they provide that provides grounding. Would you believe it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Love it.
so yeah, so with that, it was just one thing after another. And even without being in my house, the home that I live in now, it's not a house, it's a home because I'm awake. And knowing that I could reach out to Dr. Christian when I needed to, because there's a set number of different routes to reach her. So having those options out there to be, you know what, I'm getting this, and this is like, I don't know, it's a fork in the road, and I knew it.
Yes.
So I would ask my Sacred Heart, and at that fork in the road, then I would reach out and say, hey, Dr. Christian, here's what's up for me. Can you do that second intuitive check? And as always, she's teaching on how we're to do this ourselves. So saying, here's what I'm receiving. Now make sure and take that through your Sacred Heart. With all of the people I worked to prior to this, no one else would direct me back to the divinity in my body.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm. Sarah, this is so amazing. Thank you so much for sharing what you've shared thus far. I've been taking notes as you're talking, and you're really demonstrating what I believe so strongly because it's been my journey, and that is going deeper and deeper, which is really taking us, higher and higher in our ascension. That you were living like you were on vacation. You were building an atmosphere of love at events and concerts and connecting with others and doing all of this beautiful work. You could feel the lands and hear them calling you. So you were on the path, but you could feel that there was something deeper, there was something more. And you did, of course, we never know what that is, but you were willing to keep asking the questions and be willing. And that is, something Mary and the team tell us, right? We just have to be willing, and that opens us up to receive. So you kept going deeper. You weren't willing to settle for what was. You kept going deeper until you found that alignment for you. And when you talked about when you signed up for mentorship with us, that you felt immediately this shift of being held. That is so powerful. And it's something that I need in my life. It's something we all need, that being held by someone who is not, enmeshed in our stories and what's happening in our life, but who can hold that space for us so that we can go deeper into our becoming of who we really are. Someone who will direct us back to ourselves, who we have support, but who's always directing us back to our deeper knowing and training us, which is really what mentorship is, training us to go deeper into who we really are and are becoming. And now you're able to do this for others, and you're beginning to do this for others more and more in a whole new way. And this is what I love as practitioners, for all the practitioners that are listening to this. It is not we learn a modality and then we're good to go. The modality should take you deeper in your spiritual path. Like Sarah, you're talking about how the lands, waters, excuse me, you could feel that they were calling you and that they were changing. You needed that love territory technology to take it deeper. Your natural gifts imbue with that. And then you're going to a whole new level of service. And I just absolutely love what you kept sharing here about your willingness to just keep going deeper. Because again, it's not that we learn something and we're done. We just keep going deeper. And this is what I love on my journey, is that it never ends, right? Like, I've been doing this work since 2008. I awaken and learn something new all the time. There are always deeper places for us to go. And I really love what you shared, Sarah, about the full body detox, that you had the spiritual practices in place. You were on the path. You were, doing your thing, but there was something missing. And that physical body component is often what is overlooked. I know for me personally, I wasn't teaching a lot about the physical because my work and my expertise was with the energy body, with the soul, with the spirit, with the spiritual team, with source. But Mary came in so strongly to us in 2020 and said, we have got to focus on the physical body because nothing happens if we're not grounded and in our physical body. And if our physical body is overwhelmed with toxins or entity attachments or codependence or whatever it is, we are not going to be able to be of service to others as practitioners, as healers, as beings in the world. We can't even be of service for those who have chosen the path of motherhood. You can't be in service to your children if your body is full of toxins. And that was a new piece for me. And so I love that you really got that and that you saw the immediate shift, or within 3 weeks, as you said, of your clarity of your sacred heart. I also love that when you wanted chocolate, you were like, okay, Sacred Heart, which chocolate, how much? Tell me more. So I just wanted to highlight those pieces, Sarah, because I thought they were so powerful in your story. Because so often, again, folks tend to think like, oh, I'm awake and I'm good. I got it. I took the training. I have the modality. I'm good. It's no, absolutely not. Where there's so much more for us to continually learn. And this is the interdependence that we're all assisting each other, right? Like I have mentors, you have mentors, you're mentoring others, right? We're all holding each other and supporting each other in this golden chain of light. And I love that so much. And I love that you brought that to us. So I want to open it back up to you and see if there's anything more you want to share there with us. I just had to interject because my notes were filling the whole page and I was like, oh, we got so much good stuff to talk about here.
Awesome. Oh, well, and it just keeps continuing. So being able to root and anchor into my home and being able to bless the house, my home, the lands, the living beings, bless everything around me and in my love territory. So now, I mean, before I used to think, I am so anchored here that every step is sacred that I'm walking and I'm honoring it as much as I can with presence, right? Though it's not the same because now I know I'm truly anchored and grounded and I can feel that connection with the earth. So when you stop for a moment and you just can feel how connected you are to everything more and more, it it changes. It's a new level of peace. It's
Wow.
a new level of love
Yeah.
and everything around you. It's hard to describe. It just keeps flowing in better ways. And yes, there are times I go places and then I'll see, different things happening. And that I know is just for me to honor that that's where they're at. And
Yes.
I'm here to bring my energy and this love, their direction to say, hey, take a look. This is what peace and love and joy walking around looks like because we're spirits in a body.
That's right.
We're not bodies with a spirit hanging out top.
Nope. Love this. And I really love, Sarah, what you brought in about grounding and anchoring into your home. There is sort of like on social media, this real glorification of the nomadic sort of, lifestyle. And we're not saying that's not okay. And we also want to shine the light on the power of rooting into a home, creating a sacred oasis, the power of that love portal we talk about in the Love Territory Guide training, and that new level of peace and love and joy that you are experiencing through that grounding, through that rooting into your love territory, to your sacred home. That power is not spoken about enough. So I really want to honor you for bringing that in because that is just a message that is not out there as much as it needs to be.
It's been a life changer for me. So I'm like, yes, it's a big one. You don't realize until you start blessing your homes and the land that, yeah, and connecting more and more. That and then the Sacred Heart activation which is provided in both the Love Territory Guide as well as the Sacred Spirituality Coach classes. And I didn't realize at that time that you truly meant when you said, that you could re-listen, that you could re-listen.
Yes.
So had I known that during the 1 a week that I was guided for the Love Territory Guide, or had I been able to hear it, maybe that's a better way of putting it. It's just to remember when that is provided that you can re-listen, because it helps you get that connection to your sacred heart even deeper, even stronger, no matter what energies are moving through your day to day. Because seriously, some days are just really different than other days. And it's, if I
Yeah.
can't connect, I know what my go-tos are.
I love that so much. And you're so right. Every day carries its own energy signature. And so that's why it's so important that we have these tools. It's exactly right. And I know you've created a Sacred Heart activation for those who are called to, which we're going to give folks an opportunity to access that today. So powerful to have that connection to the technology that lives within your body, that you have the ability to access your soul. You have the ability to access your higher self. And we do that through the Sacred Heart. And we're really reclaiming this Sacred Heart technology that lives within us. We're reclaiming that because, of course, the church had, come in and taken that and said, oh, this is what it means and this is what it is. But it actually is this incredible ability for all of us to connect into who we truly are. And so when you talk about the power of that, and then not just a one-time experience with it again, of keep going deeper into that activation and listening to it and using it again and again, it is helping to develop your intuitive abilities at a whole new level. So thank you so much for speaking to that. And thank you for your work, Sara, with the Sacred Heart, because I know you're so committed to being guided by your Sacred Heart. And that's why I wanted to have you on the show, and also why it's so important that we're featuring practitioners who are actually walking the talk in a world that is filled with distractions and really fraudulent beings who have taken over the spiritual and the health space. You don't have a lot of people who are really walking the talk. And I know for a fact that you are, and that is so inspiring. And I hope provides so much inspiration to all those who are listening.
Well, it definitely, like you said, each day has its own energetic signature.
Yes.
So I always know that being curious. So it started, you were reflecting this back to me during the sessions. So I was anchoring this in more and more about being curious. When this thought comes up or this feeling comes up, being curious, what is it? Don't disregard it, write it down. If you're not in a place to deal with it right away, then at least as soon as you get to a place where you can take it through the superpowers guide and actually start to heal some levels of what's going on,
Yes.
that's been huge for me.
Yes. Yes. The empowerment to do our own self-healing while in a sacred container is so incredible. And I love that you pass this on to your clients and those you serve as well, because you're walking the talk and then you're guiding others in how to also be able to self-heal while also having support, because there's some things that we can get to so much more. This was a big realization for me early on in my journey, that we think, oh, I need a healer or an intuitive or, a practitioner for every single thing. We don't. We need the practitioner for those pieces that we can't get to. We need the practitioner for the quantum leaps. We need the other practitioner for, the areas that are sticky for us. But so many things that we think, and stories and beliefs and fears we have, we can heal ourselves. And we have a protocol given to us by the divine in order to do that. How amazing.
Yes, though, like you mentioned earlier about having the mentor and having someone to do sessions with, uh, having that person there for when the things come up that you can't clearly see yourself.
Yes.
Because I've had this, for example, yesterday, you reached out in response to a message I had sent. And it was so funny because that morning, the name of an energy came up in the morning, and I think it was 3 different items on my list. I took care of 2 out of the 3. Your response dealt with that I needed to take care of number 3 on that list. And this is why. And actually, you even gave me the process because didn't have, I had the steps from the superpowers guide. However, there's specific wording to make sure that it was actually taking care of those prior incarnations that I wasn't yet aware of. So divine synchronicity.
Yes, yes, I love that. And that's so powerful that we're doing, and I really want to highlight this, Sarah, because I think it's so important for all of us to recognize that this kind of healing expansion that we're doing, this awakening path, this is so the most powerful, potent way that you can spend an incarnation, because you are not only healing your own soul wounds, you're healing your ancestral lineage backwards and forwards. You are healing the collective soul. Us as divine feminine beings doing this work, we are helping to heal what the feminine has been carrying for so long, so many wounds, so many distortions. We are supporting the transformation of consciousness, not just on earth, but throughout all of time and space. And this is something that I think we can lose sight of because the earth matrix gets us, or the artificial matrix on earth gets us really, worked up about things that aren't actually relevant. They aren't actually important for what we're doing here. So everything we're talking about here today, Sarah, and everything you've shared is like, this is how we are meant to be living. This is really the most important work that we could be doing, and then sharing it with others. So we are paying it forward and passing forward this healing to those that we serve. I want to talk now, Sarah, about the golden age. So some people could take a look at world events and say, listen, we're nowhere near the golden age. However, those of us who are connected to Mary Magdalene, who are connected to Source, know that we are in the forward progression of creating the next golden age. And in fact, everything we're doing here in our lives is creating that energy signature to become the dominant energy signature at some point on Earth. So I'd love to hear about one of the ways that's really lighting you up right now and how you're co-creating the golden age, and any advice and recommendations you have for those listening about how they can start to bring more co-creation of the golden age into their experience.
Just one? Oh,
I
okay.
know. You can give us more, but at least one. Yes. What are your top 3? What do you got? We'll take it.
Okay. Well, the one that's always been dear to my heart, though now with my sacred heart speaking, it's completely different. It is the gifting. When you start to realize that it is Source moving through you with this cash money that you're passing out, and you have this gratitude with being able to give it to the next person for whatever services or whatever organic foods or whatever foods grown in regenerative soil or alkaline water, or these organizations that are supporting this golden age of having, healthy divine humans everywhere. That, yes, you went through that, I think,
Love
near the
it.
end of the sacred spirituality coach classes. And I took the leap last month and said, you know what, it's always on my heart. And I chose an organization and I felt it immediately in my heart when I was like, I'm just so grateful that I have this money coming in, which is through this business. However, I realize it's Source moving through that business.
That's right.
So not only am I grateful for the business, I'm grateful for Source for moving this money through them to me. And with that, you know what? I love to then give and bless the next organization who's doing so much more for our world.
Yes. Oh, I love, love, love this. I haven't had anybody talk about this, Sarah, on the show, like ever. So I love that you're bringing this in, this gifting consciousness. I was guided to shift to that in 2020, that we're no longer, it's no debits and credits, it's not transactions. It is, we are stewards of this abundance, which is what you're describing. And we are gifting to each other. And we're ensuring that where we're putting this money that we're a steward for is towards exactly what you're talking about, Sarah. Organizations, individuals, companies, collectives, whatever you want to call it, that are also co-creating the golden age. That's why we have the 5D plus creators directory. That's why we're encouraging all of our folks to, and when I work with people, we're creating our own economies. And it's in the spirit of gratitude and gifting that totally changes your relationship with money. Can you tell us more? I love this.
Well, in the word steward, I knew a long time ago, though I didn't get it. And it's not until I can feel the energy moving that you start to really realize how connected. When you realize the divinity that's in you, you can feel it moving through your heart.
Mhm.
When you're in so much gratitude for everything that comes towards you that you're receiving, whether it's blessings or it's cash money, or there's a variety of ways that we receive and love on each other. And to be able to take that moment and be like, you know what, I love it. I said, I bless you, I bless the divinity in you. And every once in a while, more often, people are saying back, I bless you too.
Yes.
And it's like, wow, you know what I mean?
Yes. So amazing. You're bringing in that source light, that golden light to those exchanges, and you're illuminating them, and their cells are becoming filled with light just from that interaction, which what incredible service of divine love that you're doing. So what would you recommend then for Sarah, as somebody, what would you recommend, Sarah, for someone who's listening to this right now and they're like, okay, they're still in like debits and credits and transactions and like, oh, I have to pay bills and like they're not yet in that space of gifting and gratitude. What is something you would share with them? Like maybe one thing that could help shift it or one action step. What would you say to them?
Well, when you're writing out the check, or if you have online payments, when you're going over the payments that came out, when you look at that organization, say it's a utility bill, say
Yeah,
it's your light bill, for example,
perfect.
sending out blessings that they are there for you. They have this phone number that you can reach out to. If there's an emergency, they will get to you even quicker. Just realizing that all of the parts that you just don't maybe ordinarily think of as matter. Well, when your lights go out, or say your air conditioning and your electricity goes out and all the food spoils, then you know it matters. And it may not be a happy response you have. So to flip it, we can start from this side of it and be like, oh my word, bless them. Bless them with abundance. Bless every person, especially all those unseen people that are serving, that
Yeah.
you don't know their names. They're not out front of the business, though they are working. They are working to do their best to make sure that we receive the service that we want. It's huge, because even if you don't know it and don't understand it, it comes back around, and you'll start to realize that, wow, these blessings you're sending out, they matter, because you'll start to feel it in your heart more and more, that it's circulating this love that we are. And I think it offsets, the others that maybe are more in the response of not love.
Yeah.
So it's huge when you can take these little pieces of time to be grateful for what, the house that you're in, right?
Yes.
Ah,
Oh, this is so beautiful, Sarah. Thank you so much for bringing that in. That makes my heart so happy. And when you talk about like blessing and praying over those at the utility company or wherever that nobody knows their name, but because of them, your bill even got to you, or because of them, like the lights are even able to be turned on, or whatever it is, Like this is a way that we really imbue that frequency of the golden age of Source herself into everything that we're doing, even things that we would say, oh, that's the artificial matrix. That energy is more powerful than any disconnected from source energy. So thank you so much, Sara, for your service, for all of the blessings that you are just through your presence on earth, and now you're paying it forward. And I know folks can have sessions with you. And so I want to open up the space. What's the best way for folks to connect with you? I know you've got a Sacred Heart activation that's really amazing. What's the best way for folks to connect with you and move forward with you, or just get to be in your swirl and benefit from your presence?
The best way at this time, Dr. Christian, would be to start with my website, Soul, SOUL, Healing by Sarah, no H, .com. So once you get there, yes, on the front page, there is a link to a Sacred Heart activation that you can download and watch, though it's closing your eyes and focusing on your Sacred Heart, because I want you focusing and activating your heart.
Yes.
So yes, that's the best way to start, and links to any other places that I have my presence, because I came here to physically experience the now. And I wish for all of you to realize that you came to physically experience it too. That's why I love this connection, Dr. Christian, with you, because it's this being able to voice what's going on with us, even when we're in a place where we just can't figure it out. Having that mentor, that person that we're doing sessions with, to be able to provide that clarity, because we have our own stuff going on, and someone outside of our stuff is able to be like, oh, I can connect to your spirit, and this is what I'm getting. What does your Sacred Heart say? I just love that, Dr. Christian. That is, yeah, it's a life changer.
Yeah, it definitely is. And this is so powerful. And as we're talking, Sara, and throughout this interview, I've seen this golden chain of light, that connects us all, right? My mentor's holding me, I'm a mentor holding others, you're a mentor holding others, and we're all embracing each other and supporting each other on this path of awakening, on this path of co-creating the frequency of the next collective golden age while living it in our current experience. So everyone, you want to check out the Sacred Heart activation recording that Sara's got for you, go to soulhealingbysara.com. I'll also have that website in the show notes. You want to be in her swirl, connected with her. She's a magical being doing such good work here on this earth. Thank you again, Sara, for being with us. We're going to close out this episode of Awakening the Podcast now. We're so grateful to all of you who are here with us, listening, and are a part of this path of awakening. Thank you to all of you who are practitioners, whether you're, actively as a practitioner or you're in your daily life doing a lot of the things that Sara has talked about here today. We hope and we know and we intend that this episode has been a benefit to you. And if it was, we invite you to share this with one other person you know. We know that when we're working in this world of algorithms and artificial matrix suppression and all of those things, it really takes each of us sharing the light and how important that is. So thank you again to all who are listening. If you'd like more freebies, go to my website at sacred-spirituality.org. We've got transmissions, we've got meditations, all those various things to support you on your journey. Thank you again for listening. I'm your host, Dr. Christian Strang, and as always, this has been Awakening the Podcast.